What's going on in America, people? We are headed towards disaster. We are headed towards the fulfilling of the scriptures, where if you don't receive the mark of authority, the mark of the authority of the beast, which is a nation, ecclesiastical power that control the U.S., if you don't receive their mark and agree and go with their agenda or their new world order, you will be slapped right here in these closed Walmarts that is now being created for concentration camps. People, the military is preparing themselves while they got you running after the new hype or the new thing or the new fashions, caught up in basketball and stuff, football and sports and who's doing this and doing that on reality shows and on social media. They preparing you, but you're not preparing yourselves. There are concentration camps everywhere, people, and you don't know nothing about it. Underground bunkers and underground worlds ready for those who will oppose and fight against the New World Order agenda. The Bible said the United States of America would speak as a dragon. And the dragon is Satan, who forced people to bow down before him. In this Chronicles, we will look at fearing the walking dead, and we will see people a message. We will see a message concerning FEMA camps, concentration camps. People, they are preparing themselves for this. Coffins headed to Chicago. For what? The Ebola? No. They are preparing themselves for the New World Order. And you are just a zombie apocalypse, not knowing nothing, not educated, dumbed down, numb minds, just walking zombies who know nothing and will be brought to the slaughter. Welcome to the Fear the Walking Dead Chronicles.
FEMA's coffins, for the American people. There are over 600 prison camps in the United States, all fully operational and ready to receive prisoners. They are all staffed and even surrounded by full-time guards, but they are all empty. These camps are to be operated by FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency, should martial law need to be implemented in the United States. And here is the best part. Tens of thousands of caskets, filling up FEMA-trained yards. Why did American troops simply dump the hundreds of thousands of dead bodies they found in the German death camps into simple pits without coffins? Because when you're planning the deaths of hundreds of thousands, a rotting corpse means nothing in long-term objective. So why not use a simply plastic container that you can make millions of, and stack bodies like cordwood, until you can build those industrial ovens to take care of the mess. You can simply roll those plastic disposable containers right into the ovens, without having to look at those horrid death faces. You do know, of course, bodies start to rot almost immediately after death. Let us see who will be placed in these coffins. We are all on a red or blue list somewhere. Those on the red list will be walked on at 4 a.m. and taken to the camps and probably killed. Red list, these people are the enemies of the NWO. They are the leaders of patriot groups, outspoken ministers, outspoken talk show hosts, community leaders, and even probably net leaders. These people will be dragged out of their homes at 4 a.m. and will be taken to FEMA detention centers and killed. This will take place approximately 2 weeks before martial law is enforced. Blue list, these are also enemies of the NWO, but are followers of the red list folks. These people will be rounded up after martial law is in place, and will be taken to the detention centers and re-educated. Various mind control techniques will be used on them. Most will not survive this. Mr. Springmeyer was not specific on exactly who was on the blue list, but I would guess that people such as you and I are on that list. Yellow list, these are citizens who know nothing about the NWO and don't want to know. They are considered to be no threat at all and will be instructed as to how to behave and will most likely do whatever they are told. Unfortunately, there are too many of these to be effectively controlled, so many will be killed or starved.
You are afraid. As afraid of us as we are of you. Fear creates fury. We can fight against the hell outside. Give that our fear.
If we share our supplies, in a generation, we can be whole.
Sleeping with the enemy, brother. I'm not standing down.
Are you prepared to handle him?
If it comes to that.
Welcome to another episode of the Pastor's Chronicles. I'm your host, Scott Hinton. This Chronicle is about the TV show Fear the Walking Dead. This is part 2. And we're going to get into some things, people, that's going to amaze you. Things that the Lord has revealed to me. And as always, what I'm doing is showing you the subliminal messages in these TV shows. They're actually telling you what they're doing. Recently, we had many hurricanes and stuff, and I advise you to look at my Chronicles on about how man is using machinery to control the weather. Because people, face it, you know, if you haven't seen my other Chronicles on The Walking Dead, in the description below, I will leave that as well as the weather modification. But it is good that you take a look at that, man, and catch up, because this thing is real, people. They are preparing to depopulate the world. And somehow they got billions, I mean, the masses just wrapped up in this dream world. And so those that sound the alarm and try to wake them up, the zombies look at them as stupid, foolish, psychos, or whatever. But in the beginning of this, after the intro, you had I was giving you information about the FEMA camps and the social medias like the Twitters, the Facebooks, and stuff like that is actually putting you in categories: the red, the blue, the yellow, and this is what they're doing. And so, therefore, in this Chronicles, I'm going to show you about this is, I think, episode 9 of Fear the Walking Dead. Episode 9 of Fear the Walking Dead. It's about taking away guns, and also not just taking away guns, but you had the camp is new. Another camp took over it, and it's like a new world order. And so therefore, in this new world order, they went forward to take away the guns. And we know for some time this is what the government is trying to do, is take away guns. But before we get started with Fear the Walking Dead, I just want to show you a series that I bumped into recently. And the series is called The Leftovers. Now in season 1, it began to show that people disappeared. Now people, that is a message in plain sight. Watch this.
Yeah, no, you people called me. I'm returning your, yeah, yes, I am. That's me. Sorry. Well, are you the same person I was just talking to? Seriously, I don't have the reference number. When Mommy was single and 20, she used to use quarters for this, but now she has to put money into a machine to get a card to put into another machine. Oh, God damn it, come on. Broke and the entire basement was flooded. I know, the water was totally up to our knees. Ben's exercise shit that he never uses, the washer dryer. I'm actually at the laundromat right now. Can you, I don't know, can you squeeze me in at 5 or something? Yeah, hold on. Flippy thing, there's a button, a red button. Yeah, honey. It's okay, baby. Yeah. It's a red button. You just, oh my God, just press it in with a pen or something. Oh, it's perfect. It'll start back up. Okay, I'm in the car right now. Can you make the formula? I'm gonna be home in... Sam? 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 Daddy! Where's my daddy? Sam? Smuggled right into that car seat. He was right here. He was right in that car seat. Sam, where are you, Sam? Sam, where is he? He was right in there. I don't understand. Please call the police. Call 911. He was right in there. Sam, 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 Sam.
911. What's your emergency?
My son's missing. He was taking a nap, and I just put in the truck on him. I saw brother and I want to take somebody out. Driving home from school, and he stopped to get gas, and we went to the pump house. I turned around, and he wasn't there. I don't know where he is. Can somebody please come help me?
She's gone.
Iran 1.47 million, Turkey 1.55 million, Germany 1.71 million, Egypt 1.73 million, Vietnam 1.85
The thing that one fails to grasp,
Ethiopia
2%
1.9
is not a staggering number.
Philippines 2.2
That's only 1 out of every 50 humans on the planet. Statistically speaking, on the average football pitch, none of the players would be departures. The odds of losing someone in your immediate family are slim at best. Now, if you look at, let's say, casualties from mass pandemics, smallpox, for one, decimated 95% of the native population.
So I want you to focus on something. So it left over. What happened was people just started disappearing. And if you can hear the woman in the background, she actually numbering the people that was missing in each country. Now, mind you, as stated in other Chronicles, it's approximately 7 billion people on this earth. The elite wanted to be millions of people because it's better to control these people. And these people will be classified under the yellow list. So those that didn't disappear is under the yellow list. Those that disappeared is under the blue list and the red list. Okay? And in the blue list, remember, they'll throw you in one of these camps and try to reconstruct your brain. And some people don't survive off of that. But in a sense, left over is basically a message in plain sight of what they're going to do. And you say, well, why would they expose themselves? Because you won't believe it. See, when you present the truth in plain sight, and the government got you believing that they angels and they for the people, you will not believe that, because of social media is conditioning your mind to think the way they want you to think. Believe the way they want you to believe. See things the way they want you to believe, and also ridicule things they want you to reject. So basically, why wouldn't they put these things in plain sight for all the secret societies and Freemasonries and Illuminati and Satanists to understand what the Antichrist system is doing to control this world? And I want you to look at that. Listen to these numbers again. Check out the numbers again.
Turkey 1.55 million, Germany 1.71 million, Egypt 1.73 million, Vietnam 1.35 million, Ethiopia 1.9 million,
not a staggering number. That's only 1 out of every 50 humans on the planet. Statistically speaking, on the average football pitch, none of the players would be departures. The odds of losing someone in your immediate family are slim at best. Now, if you look at, let's say, casualties of mass pandemics, smallpox, for one, decimated 95% of the native population.
What just happened, people? They basically telling you what they're going to do. They're basically setting a number, a projective number of how many people will be in these countries, people. It's called predictive programming. That's what they just did right in front of your face. They just predicted the amount of number, the exact number of how many people they want in these countries. And you say, why would they do such a thing? Because they believe that this world belongs to Lucifer. They believe that Lucifer will come and give them immortality along with riches and power. And he will not come until this world is in one order, one world order, one mind. And in order to do that, they have to depopulate the world to control the world. And this is why you have these things right here happening in the world.
Is a very powerful storm. This is the visible satellite image, and you can see as the sun comes out, look at this perfect Category 5 storm. 175-mile-per-hour sustained winds. At its peak, Katrina was 175. We haven't seen a storm of this strength in 10 years since Felix in 2007.
Millions of Americans are looking ahead to another potential disaster. Hurricane Irma was just upgraded to a Category 5 storm. It now packs maximum sustained winds of 175 miles an hour.
So wind speeds at 175 miles per hour, which is unbelievable. Gusts at 185. So a strong Category 5 hurricane as it approaches the Leeward Islands. That is an absolutely devastating and catastrophic hurricane for these islands. Hurricane warnings have been issued, and hopefully their plans are in place, because a Category 5, that is pretty impressive.
As Floridians prepare for the storm, many areas in the Caribbean are getting ready for a direct hit. Here's a look at Irma from space. Emergency officials say the storm could bring up to 10 inches of rain and 23-foot waves.
As you can see, this is the calm before the storm. As you mentioned, states of emergency not only in Florida, but also here in Puerto Rico, where we were upgraded to hurricane warning just overnight. And that means today is all about preparation. The people who we've spoken to here on the ground have said, look, we're Caribbean people. We understand what it's like to have wind and rain, especially at this time of the year. But a Category 4 hurricane, that's a completely different beast. That's why the National Guard has already been activated. Schools are closed. More than 200 FEMA workers are already on the ground, and almost 500 emergency centers have been set up all throughout the island. Meanwhile, back in Florida, people are gearing up. We're having food and supplies and water. They're stocking up because authorities there say they can't afford not to be prepared for Hurricane Irma. All 67 counties there are under a state of emergency, and some people are taking a wait-and-see approach, deciding whether or not they're going to evacuate based on how close this hurricane comes. Meanwhile, many there are preparing for an event that's already been described as catastrophic and as life-threatening, and one that's barreling toward us as we speak.
And the National Hurricane Center is saying we're going to have a Category 5 for maybe a day or two. So watching this, the northern Leeward Islands, you're in trouble right now. Unfortunately, we are dealing with a very strong, potentially dangerous storm moving your way. Then we watch Puerto Rico, Hispaniola, the Bahamas, Cuba, and there's the center of the storm. But I don't want people to pay attention to the center, because there is the potential 5 days out that this moves south of that center or north of that center. But certainly right now, Florida Keys, South Florida, making your preparations now. Very warm water ahead of the storm. That's why the potential is there for it to maintain its Category 5 status for the next 24 to 48 hours. There's the computer models. Very good agreement until Friday. And then we start to see the trough that will potentially influence the storm coming from the north. And then we think making a right-hand turn. But again, we got to watch this, because anything can happen 5 days out. I know Florida, you're in the crosshairs here. Gulf of Mexico, though, you need to be prepared. East Coast also needs to be prepared. One thing is for certain, Julie, this is a very dangerous storm that could potentially be deadly. So we need to make our preparations now.
Florida's governor declared a state of emergency ahead of a potential impact.
The storm could strike islands in the eastern Caribbean tonight before heading toward Puerto Rico and the Bahamas. Forecasters say Irma could turn north this weekend, heading for Florida or the Carolinas. Manuel Bojorquez is in Miami with the latest there. Manuel, good morning to you.
Good morning. I'm standing in the Brickell neighborhood near downtown Miami. During the storm last month, this area flooded after heavy rains. In fact, this is what it looked like here on August 1st. As Hurricane Irma may have its sights set on the U.S., people in Florida are preparing for the worst. People in South Florida are emptying store shelves, filling grocery carts, and packing their cars with water. It's not good.
So I'm not going to get into the weather too much. You can look at that at the description at the bottom. But right here it shows two pathways when Alicia, Madison, and Travis was taken. What do you see there? Don't you see the pyramid? See, you see what they want you to see. The pathway is the pathway to the Egyptian mythology. And this is what the elite is following. And if you think about that, who brought God's people into captivity? The Egyptians. And so if you look at this, the pathway is the pathway to Lucifer. Either you take the red or the blue pill. Do you actually think that that was a mistake to show those two paths right there? Do you actually think it's a mistake to show the bodies laying on the ground? Do you actually think that it is a mistake to show these people going into certain facilities, gun drawn, forcing them into cars, forcing them into facilities, soldiers forcing them? No, people, it's not a mistake. Fear the Walking Dead is showing you subliminal messages hidden in plain sight, revealing to you what's going to take place when they force martial laws, what's going to take place in the New World Order. Anybody that's against it, as I revealed earlier, will be on the red, the blue, or the yellow. The two paths that you've seen here is one going to be on the yellow. A group of people going to be going towards the yellow, and a group of people going to be going towards the red and the blue. Do you see the mystical writing right in the middle of this path? It's Egyptian writing. They got it all figured out, people, but you sleep. Those are pyramids, and of course we always see the all-seeing eye in the pyramid. And guess what? You letting them know which path you're going to take on social media, on Facebook, putting all your information. See, you will have the UK Army or the United States of America Army busting down your door, knowing all about you, all about your family, because you post up everything on Facebook. And so they have facilities all over the world, big facilities with big computers in it that Facebook uses. And each computer or each hard drive is big enough to store all your information. So they are putting you in this list, and you just having fun with all the little games you play, having fun with the Dragon Queen, St. Patrick on Power, and all these other little movies that you watch that distract you. While time is ticking and prophecy is being fulfilled. On our next Chronicles, on part 3 of Fear the Walking Dead, we're gonna go a little deeper, and I'm gonna take you step by step in Fear the Walking Dead and show you these messages so you can understand these things. And you're like, how do you know? Well, first of all, you have to understand. When you see an occult symbol in a movie, believe me, there's a message for those as of the occult to understand what's next, what's about to take place. So I see you then. Until next time, check out the descriptions. Check out the links down at the bottom in the description, and be informed, people. Share this, share it. Let other people know what's going on. If they call you a nut, let them call you a nut. At least you reveal to them these messages in plain sight, so they won't. So when the time comes, they will be able to choose whether they're going to follow the laws of man or the laws of God. Until next time, God bless. Peace.